And like since you did mention like your early like pre-med years,
Yeah,
just wanting to maybe wind back a little and like
totally.
thinking back to that time, do you remember like what kind of like feelings you entered college with?
Yeah.
Like maybe just in general as well, like as a new student at UCLA, what were your like maybe emotions and like how did that change over time?
Yeah. Oh my God. It feels like so long ago, but
Whoa.
but it really goes by so fast. I remember like starting UCLA, I was just like a wide-eyed like kid. And I was like, I want to learn from everyone. I want to join all these organizations and like do everything and like expose myself to everything and make as many friends as possible. I was just like I think I was like overly, I don't know, I was very excited, but almost like overly in a way, in that I think I like spread myself a little too thin early on. And like I remember literally from the first like EAF, I like had signed up for like 50 orgs and like
Whoa.
attended like two club meetings a day, figure out what I wanted to do.
Crazy.
I don't recommend that at all. I think I only stuck with like one club from freshman year. So I think just like really, and it's so hard, right? Because you come in, you don't really know what you're interested in until you get like a deeper exposure to it. But I think just like making sure you kind of narrow down exactly what your interests are and like trying to figure out what you like, and sticking with those and like putting your all in them is so important from the beginning. And this applies to both like making new friends or building new relationships, as well as like trying to find things for your like career, like clubs or extracurriculars. Like with friends, like I remember I was like trying to make like meet like a new person a day, and like I wasn't able to like give myself fully into any of my relationships, and it was kind of just like superficial relationships here and there with tons of people versus like a few like core relationships that I really held on to for the rest of my college like career that became a lot more important to me. So just in every aspect, I think I remember as a freshman, like I kind of like funneled down what was really important to me. And by the time I left senior year, I felt really, really like myself with everything I had chosen, from my relationships, my friends, my mentors and mentees to like clubs and extracurriculars. And that was really important. Um, I I feel like over time in college, I I think like the scariest thing was falling into the trap of like um following like like a checklist of things to do in order to apply to med school. I remember I was unsure about medicine, and then I became an EMT freshman year, and that like really solidified it for me. I really liked like the patient care aspect, the like advocating for patients, like behind the scenes, like kind of being the first to meet a patient in their most like vulnerable state. Like that really meant a lot to me. But I kind of only knew medicine at that superficial level. And so tr I kind of pulled out certain themes from that experience, and I went a little deeper into um, like things that would kind of like branch out from EMT, and that's kind of what led me to scope. Um, so I think just like trying to figure out or following your own interests rather than like checking off lists of things you have to accomplish is super important. I don't know if you want me to like get into like kind of like where I went from EMT and like my whole path,
Well,
or
yeah, I'm so interested. Like,
okay.
how was that journey for you?
I'm like so veering away from your question
No,
right
no, no. This is perfect.
now. Yeah, so I guess like in terms of like my path where I am now, I like did EMT training. It was like 10 weeks over the summer between freshman year, sophomore year. Um, and I really liked it. I loved how, it kind of gets you to meeting people outside the little bubble of college, like meeting the people of Los Angeles face to face, right? Los Angeles was a new community to me. I wanted to know what the patient population was like. What are people like outside of Westwood, UCLA? And then that's kind of where I saw that like these social environments that people live in really affect their health, right? So like if I don't know, they live in like a poorly ventilated house or apartment, right? Everyone ends up with like like you may get a 911 call or an EMS call for asthma or breathing problems, and it's all related to how they've been growing up in like poorly ventilated spaces, something like that. And so visiting people's homes, you kind of see how like these places where they work, where they live, where they play really influence their health outcomes. And you also notice that poor people or people with lower socioeconomic backgrounds tend to call 911 more often than people of wealthier backgrounds. And so seeing this, I was really interested in it. I had never kind of explored this connection before. I sought out research in like social work or social needs and trying to understand how that better connected to like medical issues. And so I got connected with a physician mentor. She was studying how like social needs were extremely prevalent in patients with liver disease. And that was kind of like from EMT, my new branch, right? So I branched out into looking into social circumstances, social needs, and how economic background or socioeconomic conditions affect health. And then that also led to branching to liver disease and caring for liver disease patients through that physician mentor. Um, so oh God, I began investigating social needs and then kind of in my research, I was meeting a lot of these patients face to face, and I wanted to do something more direct for them rather than just kind of researching, entering data. Um, in the background, I wanted to find a way to actually address their problems and give them resources, give them help. And that's kind of how I found Scope, which was so fortunate. It was so in line with everything I wanted to do, and kind of just helped me learn more about what are actual tangible ways we can help these patients, not just in the clinic, but like outside in their home and in their lives. And That's where Scope really came in, and that's where I really, really learned. Um, like the importance of, like preventative care and like looking upstream, like before patients end up in the ER, like what are they experiencing on a day-to-day basis? And I thank Scope every day because without Scope, I probably would not have as deep of an understanding of this concept as I do now. And it's integrated into every aspect of my application, kind of this greater understanding that people's lives go beyond the clinic walls, and using that kind of deeper understanding, that like cultural humility to like think beyond what's in front of you, um, like using that in every patient interaction elsewhere. So really thankful to Scope. In terms of like kind of like the liver pathway I forged, I learned so much about like patients with liver disease and how so much of it can be prevented. Um, but there were no like tangible treatments for liver disease. So then I joined like a lab that was doing like work with cholesterol modulation in the liver and trying to um, one day come up with an actual like treatment for liver disease patients. And then at the same time, like trying to connect with liver disease patients in the community. So then I like started an organization. It's actually at UCLA still, I hope. And it's called the SHP, the Seattle Hepatitis Project at UCLA. And this is kind of not just, like I was working in the lab in one way, but then also just like meeting patients in the community and actually educating them to watch out for their alcohol intake or their cholesterol intake or their like watch what foods they're eating and kind of educate them on the dangers of liver disease if it reaches to stage 3 or 4 or possibly like cirrhosis or cancer later on. So just like I guess like starting with like one niche, like as an EMT and kind of just following that and following like the themes I was learning from it and like just like following what my interests were and like building things I was passionate about from that, I think is really what leads to success and kind of not just like checking off random things on a box. Like I remember like freshman year, I was involved in like the Stein Eye mobile clinic for a bit and like I don't know, just like random things like that. And I realized like that wasn't as interesting and cool as the experience was. It just wasn't my like niche. It wasn't something I was passionate about enough until I took like a deep dive through like social case working or doing liver disease research, something like that. So I quickly ended that like within my first year. And that's okay. Like you don't have to hold on to an experience just because people are like, oh, it's valuable clinical experience, like why are you giving it up? And if it feels right to give up, if it's not something that interests you, that's totally okay. And people would like admire you more for that anyways, even if it's like a short-term experience. So kind of just like follow what you like and follow what you're passionate about and don't be afraid to like start new things if it doesn't exist yet. Yeah, and like know that like there's mentors everywhere. I would not be where I am today like without, like these physicians that have helped me with my research or like the mentors in scope, these like upperclassmen who like taught me a ton about social caseworking and everything. It's so important to like rely on other people, and know you're not alone. Yeah. Um, I can't
Amazing
think.
advice, Lany.
Yeah, I can't remember if there's any other things.